Teleportation always made her sick, so it was no surprise to Aurea. The first thing she did after materializing was throwing up. Her intricate clockwork and Magitech powered armor was steaming, a fitting representation of her mood. The servos of the mechanical joints refused to bend, and all the indicators in her helmet told her the same thing. Systems were overheated. The air-attuned shard in her back-mounted breathing device drained of its arcane power. The barrage of bombs released from her chest armor had been efficient, but also the final blow to the machine's internal systems. Once she felt solid ground under the device's feet, she pulled a lever inside the metallic frame, opening a hatch through which she could exit her creation. Nearly half the size of her magical technological suit, Aurea landed on wet sand. The air was salty, the breeze stiff, but there were no signs of magical storms or interference by any plane. She had survived the onslaught, had escaped this fiasco of a plan. Had she been too greedy? Too sure of her success? The Triton envoys seemed to be no threat, but when that woman unleashed her might, Aurea knew she had underestimated the sea-dwelling people. Luck was momentarily on her side, at least until she got to the surface and came face to face with her former employees. Before she knew it, the Aether Vein had been ripped from her hands. The thought made Aurea boil, and her small fist punched into the sand, followed by a scream of rage. With every artifact that was taken from her, the end game to her plans changed, became more distant. Was it a sign that she should stop and abandon this burden she had put upon herself? Thunder rolled in the distance, and drops of rain came from a cloud above. She did not put this burden on herself. This weight on her shoulders, on her heart, was given by others. By those who played their games of politics and war, by those who called upon the loyalty of those who served them, those who spoke of honor and glory, those who marched her sons to their graves. They gave her this burden, and she would take the weight of it and throw it into their faces if this was the last thing she did. There was no turning back, as much as there's no coming back for those she had lost. These were small setbacks. For what greater setback than the loss of her own kin could she ever endure? Aurea opened a small compartment in the left arm of her mechanical suit and pulled out a toolbox. For now, she would get her armor up and running, get to somewhere safe, and then continue. There are more items like the Aether Vein, more objects imbued with the might of the moons. And there are more ways to weaponize the burden that rests upon her heart. And here we are, good time zone, everybody.
Won't you give your introduction like nothing has changed, Marcus?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Sorry, what? What is going on?
I have to clue. Like.
Welcome to another session, a completely regular session of Convergence Manifesto. My name is Marcus, also known as the Chindividual. I am a pale Caucasian male with short brown hair, glasses, a beard, and today in a black sweater. And I was not seen at an earlier time on this stream. So I don't know what these people are all looking at, but I will give my fantastic players a chance to introduce themselves for today's session, as we're going to start off with Sariel. Well, hello there.
Hi, everybody. My name is Serial. My pronouns are they, them, and I am a Caucasian person with black, short-ish hair, with a gray streak on my front, and I am just enveloped in a knitted scarf, pull across my body as a cloak, because we gotta keep warm on these cold, random April days. And I play Rebus, who is a warforged. They use any pronouns, usually they, them, and they are made of metal and wood and have a shattered faceplate. And they are very cute and kind most of the time.
Most of the time, indeed. Thank you for that introduction. Let's go further around the table. Ida, hello there.
Hello there. Higher up, Austin. Was cut off by the bottom of your.
Oh, wait. There we go.
Thank you very much. My name is Aida. My pronouns are she and her. I am a Latina woman. I have tan olive skin, dark eyes, dark hair. I am currently wearing a crimson burgundy shirt with a white sweater cardigan on top of it. You can't really see it, but I am wearing what our friend Krifu has dubbed the Chindividual shirt. Which is actually a fan art commissioned through Sariel, that we commissioned from Sariel at old D&D campaign, which features Marcus's avatar on Twitter. That's why our friend thought it was the Chindividual shirt. I play
I am
Rayn.
honored that you made them into shirts. It's really cool.
Close to our heart. I play Rayn, who is a female Triton sorcerer. Her pronouns are she and her. She has aqua skin, finned ears, wears a saffron outfit, and has a mop of seaweed black curly hair.
All right. Thank you, Ida. Let's continue around the table to someone who just held up a really weird note. Austin, hello.
You saw nothing.
Hello there. My name is Austin. Pronouns are he, they, send help. I am a pale Caucasian bearded male. Wearing a shirt with a bunch of peaches all over it today. And on screen with me
Very
is
cute.
A cute little orange cat named Charlie. There you go.
Hey, Charlie.
I play Dythun, Leonin fighter, pronouns he, him, brown and black fur, shiny armor, definitely just a fighter all the way through.
No magic or anything.
Yeah, no magic or anything, that's weird. And I think that's it. That's all I got to say about that.
Yep. Yeah. Dyphon certainly is
Sure.
just a fighter, just like this stream started in a totally regular way and
Exactly.
not
Everything's
completely. Yeah, exactly. And with that, we just normally continue around the table to last but certainly not least, Caro.
Yeah, hey, my name is Caro, pronouns she, they. I'm a Caucasian femme with longer turquoise hair, and today wearing a black shirt with some white stripes on it. And I'm gonna play Delphine, pronounced she, they as well, who is tanned half-elf woman with rather long light bluish hair, and I always forget this. Has a scar over her face and has a Triton hat on her head, and generally rocking the pirate style, you know.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Thanks all of you for being here. And Delphine certainly isn't the only one rocking the pirate style in our current arc that we're running here, since we're dealing with pirates and the high seas and magical storms and fireballs out of nowhere. And that's where we did end our last session. The party certainly is in an interesting situation at this point. They now do have indeed another powerful magical item, but at what cost? That is one of the many things we might find out this session. But before we head in there, how's everybody feeling? A little bit of a vibe check. How we doing?
Excite. And I don't mind that we're doing this opening again, but in our private chat, I said, due to what happened in the last session, Rayn as a character might be upset or emotional. If at any point as a player you feel it's uncomfortable, please type or visually or type it out, and I will. We can reset. But I want to express that if I get loud or something, I am also making sure to make it clear that this is a character and not me as a player, because I love you all and I love this story and it's very dramatic and you're all dead and I'm just going to ride up into the sunset.
We got you
most of
as
the
players,
characters-
and we also our characters have Rayn. Like,
yeah.
yeah, we got your back. Both
You know, most
in
of the
both
characters are
worlds.
alive at that point.
For now.
Most. Heel turn, Dythun pulls out his hand axe.
75% of the party are one.
A pharmacist.
Pharmacist, exactly. Go to your local pharmacy.
Not
Yeah,
a pharmacist, a pharmacist.
exactly. Yeah, that's a good point you point out there, Ida. These are moments in campaigns where there might be some in-character tension, but rest assured that if at any point anyone feels like there's a timeout necessary, please let us know. We also check in with each other after and in between sessions to see how everybody's feeling about these kind of things. And that's very important because we're involving not just the player characters, we're involving NPCs from their backgrounds, NPCs that are very tightly linked to these characters. And I think it's always good to make sure that players who bring those kind of backgrounds still feel like they have narrative stakes and a little bit of control on these. And you're not just taking someone's background and using it to just create drama for the sake of drama. With that being
Make some
said,
notes
then.
here.
No one has ever said that. Right, call me mommy?
With that remark, you find yourself again at Horde of Tales, where on Tuesdays we play Dungeons & Dragons. Specifically, we play Convergence Manifesto, a Dungeons & Dragons adventure series set in the campaign world of Eberron. Convergence Manifesto is written by the Across Eberron Group, a collective of fantastic writers who write amazing, cool adventures that you can also play. You can find all of these on the DM's Guild. Just look for Convergence Manifesto and you can find them separately or even buy them in a bundle and get all 13 of them. We are currently in the chapter of Weathering the Storm, where our characters are indeed weathering a quite literal storm. Our virtual tabletop of choice that we use for all of this, where you see the action happen, is Foundry Virtual Tabletop, hosted on The Forge. And the music you hear is by Dark Fantasy Studios and also by, and I should pull my notes up more on time, also by Joel Studler. If you see any kind of battle maps, they were probably made in Dungeon Draft by Mega Splood. And last but certainly not least, as already pointed out in chat, we have something called Cat Vantage here. If you see a cat popping up on someone's screen here and you have the channel points, you can use them to hand out Cat Vantage. That will cause a cute cat icon to show up on someone's screen, and while they have the cute little kitty cat, they can spend it to give themselves advantage on the roll. If you give someone Cat Vantage, don't forget to tell us who you give Cat Vantage, and don't give Cat Vantage to someone who already has Cat Vantage. If you end up not naming someone or handing it to someone who already has it, it might slip in the hands of the Dungeon Master, and we don't want that. Sometimes. With that being said, let's go to a quick little intro. Perfectly normal intro. And then we will continue into session 54 of the Convergence Manifesto. See you in a few.
Dead. Eggplant,
Back.
peaches, like the peaches on his Austin shirt.
We're back.
Are we though?
Hi.
And no one's getting advantage at this point yet. But
Well,
what we do get is a quick little reminder of recent events on the Convergence Manifesto. In our last session, the party continued their adventure into the magical storm, where they were looking for a missing ship that held vital important cargo for High Prince Ryger, quotation marks, leader of the Lazar Principalities. The party was not alone in whatever they were looking for on that ship. Not only were Rayn's mother and brother, Marin and Nimbus, involved in studying this storm, not only were there rival pirates coming in on an elemental galleon, but also Aurea Erkoren in her very own submarine suit was able to join this hunt for an item. The party made their way to what remained of the missing ship and was soon attacked by pirates, Sohagin, and water weirds who did not like the idea of having competition. Fortunately, our party bested most of them in combat, but also had to deal with a frustrated Rayn, an agitated Rayn, who wanted to deal as quick as possible with this fight, especially once she heard telepathically from her brother that Aurea was trying to make a getaway. The party did intimidate the pirates, making sure there was a temporary stalemate, and when the ship of Rayn's mother came back to the surface, they witnessed Aurea in trying to make an escape with whatever item there was to be found. Delphine was having none of that, facing the brunt of some kind of explosive weapon set into Aurea's armor, but also getting her own hands on this miniature orrery that they were looking for. Eventually, most of you could make it on the back of Marin Undina's ship. But the mayhem didn't end there. You had a bit of a disagreement with Marin about what to do with the object. Marin wanted to take it to the home of the Tritons, while Delphine made a very clear point that they would take it somewhere where it could also be safely stored. And to take it there, Delphine attempted to put the object, laden with planar energy, into her satchel of holding, unleashing a series of strange magical effects, ending in the explosive force of a fireball. We'll pick up exactly at the moment that fireball engulfed the ship. Rayn,
You're so smart.
Rayn, remind us, where are you currently in this situation?
I was in the water. Rayn had unleashed raw emotion, raw power at Aurea, could not succeed, and in the moment was feeling disappointed in herself, mostly because she couldn't take down this threat, but because she failed to do so in front of her mother. And we might play into these feelings in a bit soon. And as such, because she was flying midair, she figuratively and literally dropped into the water. We were above the seas to cool off her head. And as she's just kind of floating, looking at the distorted light above her, I think you described like this technicolor violent boom.
Exactly. Technicolor is the right word for it. Like just a prismatic glow, a rapid series of events, reminding us that also at this point, Rebus has a feathered beard coming out of their metallic jaw. And But all of that culminates into this explosion, which is also a technicolor roaring flame that subsides after a moment. And Rayn, you see the wreckage aboard the ship. Delphine lies unconscious on the ship, the satchel of holding torn to shreds by the magical force. Marin Undenath is flung against one of the railings on the other side of the ship and seems to be barely holding up against it. Nimbus Undenath lies just a few feet away from Delphine, unmoving. Rebus and Dythun, how are you looking at this moment?
A little singed, but all in all, not that bad off.
Yeah, same.
Dyson didn't take any damage during the actual combat, so that fireball's the only thing that he's been hit with recently. So in physical standing, great.
I am kneeling on the surface of this boat, passing out some fire from the wood parts of my body. Some of the metal has heated, but you know, I'm not doing too badly. The feathers that had grown as a beard on my face are mostly calcinated at this point, just burnt away. I'm just trying to locate where everyone is. I knew Delphine was looking really rough, and she had taken a lot of damage during that combat. And I knew she was flying. I was trying to catch her to make sure she wouldn't hurt herself when landing. And then the fireball happened, so I am desperately trying to find where she is.
And you also see her, you see her also lying unconscious on the deck, as basically there's, in all of your ears after this explosion, there's just this high-pitched tone that's slowly dying down as your ears are slowly regaining their capability to hear. Let us not forget that Rayn is also still channeling Gust of Wind to slow down another pirate that was approaching, this eye patch tricon wearing woman with a little pseudo dragon on her shoulder, who basically decided after this explosion to just splash down into the water and paddle there, keep herself afloat for a moment, just looking at the mayhem, keeping a safe distance at this point.
The explosion has happened. Rayn is helicopter is going to fly out of the water and survey. She doesn't know what caused this. I think Rayn's first, if she sees people lying unconscious and she has to, Marin looks just flung, hanging on.
Like hanging on to a thread at this point.
Like that. If Rayn looking at unconscious people, the first person she's going to go to is her twin brother. Her teeth are clenched and she immediately just like dives down towards him and just kind of slides herself like underneath his head to cradle it. And if I catch a, do I catch a breath? Because I'm preparing a healing potion right away.
Can you give me a medicine check, please?
16.
16. Especially in this tense situation, your senses are really looking for any sign of life in Nimbus. You slide, you come down, teeth clenched, you just feel your jaw almost locking up from the tension in it, but you quickly check for life signs. Putting the fingers on the pulse, leaning in to catch a breath. There's still life in there. He's still on, but yes, that's exactly what he could use.
4 healing.
You just basically just pull it out from your satchel and shove it down.
And I am screaming telepathically.
You pull out that potion quicker than you ever pulled out a potion. Pop off the cork, throw it down. There's a lot of it spilling past his mouth. You're not going in for accuracy at this point. It just needs to, some drops of that need to go down his throat. And while you reach out telepathically, there's at first, you're just not reaching into it. The mind is clouded. The mind is in the darkness of unconsciousness. You keep screaming telepathically until you finally connect. There's a consciousness in there. The healing magic goes down his throat. Slowly, your twin brother opens his eyes to your telepathic screaming.
Nimbus, are you all right? Who did this? Where is Mother? Where is she? Are you all right? Who did this? And before he's answered telepathically or vocally, I'm just going to carefully cradle his head downward, float up, and start to look for Marin.
All right. While you take care of your twin brother, Rebus, you were also looking for Delphine, right? You survey the deck of the ship and you look around and you see Rayn coming in with bizarre speeds, landing next to her brother. You hear her, you see her pull out that potion. Nimbus slowly waking up, fortunately. And as you scan the upper deck, you also see Delphine at the other side, lying there, covered in soot, part of her clothing burned, and the tatters and shreds of her satchel scattered all over her. And also, lying next to her on the ground is a charred miniature orrery. Like this object that she took from Aurea is now burned, and there's still steam coming off from it.
Right. I will go next to her. Let me check real quick. Okay, I do not have any potions with me, so I know Dythu is like next to me, right?
Dythun, as
Because
soon
we're
as
both
that
like the two
explosion
that are
cleared,
standing.
yeah, he was gonna start making his
So
way
I will go
to
to Delphine, yeah, and I will bring her. I have like 14 feet speed, so if I get there first, I'll just, make sure to hold her in a way where like she maybe we can, if there's any life left, then maybe we can we can pour potion into their mouth, making sure that like I'm not moving anything more than I have to, like being very careful.
Right. You move over there, careful as you can, carefully making sure that you trying to stabilize Delphine. Dythun, is there anything you do in the meantime while this is going on?
Dythun's running over with Rebus. Seeing that Rayn has started to stabilize Nimbus. Dythun's running over, catching up, and then quickly placing a hand on her shoulder. He's going to cast Spare the Dying to at least stabilize her.
On who?
On Delphine.
There's no need for this.
Okay, he don't
Yeah.
know.
There is actually, as you
don't know.
as you actually touch her and try to cast that magic into her,
Mhm.
you would realize that she is unconscious, but she is stable, and with just a very faint glow coming from an item on her that has made sure she is not getting closer to the land of the dead.
Wonderful. He's gonna reach into his satchel that is perfectly organized, so he knows exactly where it is. And he's gonna pull out a potion of healing and give that to Delphine.
Gotcha. You can roll the healing for that that it does.
It's 2d4. Yeah, it is.
Yes.
Come here.
2d4 plus 2.
Cool. That's 2 plus 2. That's 4.
Yeah.
There you go.
Or there we go. Delphine, what do we see as Delphine slowly comes back to consciousness?
Mm. So first, basically, a look as if she was just waking up from a major headache, like as if she had a hangover or anything, and then just realizing what happened,
Right.
and looking around, and yeah, it's slowly trying to get up, like at least her upper body up so that she could sit or anything.
You slowly get into that seated position, looking around. You notice immediately the shredded satchel of holding. You look to the charred planar artifact that's lying next to you, but you also see, of course, Rebus and Daithun close to you. Beyond them, you can also see Rayn, who is looking for her mother. And Rayn, you do find Marin.
Like at this point, she's screaming like, "Mother, mother, where are you?" And while also trying to keep a connection with Nimbus, she's had years of practice, but at this point, her telepathic speech and her verbal speech are slurred. Like she can't isolate the channels cleanly anymore.
Right. Like speaking with two mouths at the same time, this overlapping. And you hear from the other side of the deck, from parts of the railing that are parts of them blown to splinters from the force of this explosion. You see Marin dangling there, one arm over the railing. She has her weapon, this elegant spear trident weapon out, and she looks at you covered in burn marks and soot and wounds, scratches, exhaustion written all over her face. She looks up.
I pull out another potion. I just uncork it and I like put it to her mouth. And while she has like the bottle in her mouth, Rayn is going to go underneath the arm that's being held and give her leverage to try to pull her up while flying. And I'll roll for that potion as well.
Please.
Slightly better. 5.
5 hit points as Marin drinks the contents of that potion.
And Nimbus hears in his head, like frantic, "I found her. She's okay. I found her. I'm bringing her now. Oh my God. What happened? Who did this? What happened? What happened? Who did this?"
Rayn, can you give me an athletics check? This is a contested athletics check.
She's not helping. 9.
You described your mother as a strong figure, right?
With
She is a commander,
heavy armor as well.
and she's a commander of troops. She has experience. She is trained. She is strong.
Oh,
And as you like support her weight, and once the potion sinks into her, she just breaks free from you and like shoves off from you, lands on her own 2 feet, looks around at the mayhem, looks at Delphine, and says, "Is this your usual approach when you tell someone you can contain a dangerous magical artifact to put it into the one place where it cannot be contained?"
Nimbus, like, again, frantic. What happened? What is she talking about?
Looking towards Marin while still sitting on the ground, then slightly shaking the head. That wasn't planned.
She turns towards the remains of the orrery. At least it seems to be destroyed by this. I'll need you off my ship as soon as possible.
Out
You can
loud.
tell that
And Rayn looks to Delphine. The connection with Nimbus still up, but you did this.
Slowly getting up and still a little bit weak on the feet. I said this wasn't planned.
You did this.
I believe that this was an accident, Miss Rayn.
What happened?
Nimbus takes up a position that is halfway between Delphine in her seated position and Rayn and Marin on the other side. And while still holding on to some wounds on his body, he says, "I didn't see exactly what happened, but Mother was urging Delphine to hand over the artifact. In a pressuring way, to which Marin responds, 'Nimbus!' I think that Delphine tried to just keep the item. I don't know what arrangements you have with whatever party is interested in this, but things got out of hand." Marin says, "She could have killed us."
Yeah, and I nearly killed myself as well.
Marin just stands there and she's like looking down at you and says, she's about to say something. You can just see that there's vile words resting on her lips.
I think Dythun stands up and turns to her. With as much respect as I can muster for you, and that you very well do deserve, I suggest you don't say what you're about to say.
Dythun, can you give me a persuasion or intimidation check? Your choice.
I think that's gonna be intimidation.
Mm.
Okay, that's all right. It's a 6.
You tried.
Just like, I suggest you don't say what you're about to say.
I should have not expected more than this kind of foolishness. And she turns away from Delphine and looks at Rayn. I think you and your companions came in here on your own ship. You can see how you leave on it. And she is about to go below deck.
If there's
Mother, we are
anything
not
that,
right.
then your daughter has nothing to do with this.
She stops on the stairs, turns to you.
She even came to you to help you. You should acknowledge this.
She stops, turns around, and just with long strides wanders over to you, Delphine, stopping in front of you, towering over you as you are sitting on the ground. And she says, "You do not get to tell me how I handle my family affairs." They are
Well,
none of yours.
guess what? I just did.
Do you keep eye contact with her while you say this? Like you're really
Yes,
looking into her
yes.
eyes?
Yes.
She is staring right into yours. And you can see her wrists tense up. Until Nimbus walks up, puts a hand on his mother's shoulder. Mother, go down. I will make sure that they will leave in a safe way. Her fist loosens. And she wanders off again to go downstairs.
Like Rayn, like almost tries to like turn and follow. Does Marin let that happen, or like just shoves off?
You get to the top of the stairs. Marin already a few steps ahead of you. As she hears you on the stairs, she says, not even looking at you, "You've made your choices, Rayn. I don't think these are the circumstances that this is the moment that you should regret them." And she wanders downstairs.
All of you definitely see like Rayn just kind of like shoulders kind of like just shrimp forward. She's like holding her arms.
Dythun's gonna walk over and try to put a hand on her shoulder if Rayn doesn't like step away from that or anything.
She'll flinch, but she's not moving.
I wish I had something to say here, Rayn. I can't imagine how this feels, but regardless of what happened, we have no ill intentions for the people here.
Whether Rain is trying to convince herself, or Dyson, or even Nimbus, who's hanging around, so she's going to like croak out. We're not failures. What we do matters. The risk we take is ours and not for others. It matters. It has to matter. It has to save people, and it has to change minds, and it has to change the way things are, and it has to not go like this. Right? She just looks up, looking for anyone to answer, Nimbus or Dyson or Marin, who's long gone.
The fact that not everyone might see the meaning doesn't make it devoid of meaning, Rayn. And it might truly be hurtful to see people that we care about perhaps not see said meaning, but we can only hope they will with time.
Nimbus leans against one of the remains of the rails, not far away from Delphine, as he's just observing. He gets a little bit closer. He crouches down next to you, Delphine. And he looks at you. That was really a really poor choice. I'm gonna be honest. That really hurt. But I see things my mother doesn't see. How are you doing?
Well, you mean apart from making notoriously bad choices? And then finally getting up again and like... I'm okay. Then putting a hand on his shoulder and casting a cure
Inflict
wounds
wounds.
second.
Let's
Well,
make it worse.
No, a cure wounds second level.
Cure wound second level on.
Yes.
All right, roll.
Nimbus, yeah.
Can you roll me how many hit points he gets back from that?
Yes. Let me find my D8. That's in total 10 hit points.
10 hit points. He put the hand on his shoulder. You see some of his wounds closing. And he says, there are multiple people on this ship right now who are in a tumultuous emotional state. I think when you and one of these people get back to dry land, you need to do some talking.
I guess you're right about this.
He
If it isn't
He-
Delphine's favorite thing, talking.
he nods, and then he wanders over to the rest of the group. He wanders over towards Rayn.
She doesn't mean that, right? It'll take me. I don't. We don't have long, but I can spend everything we have. I can explain. I can try to make her understand. You can help me. You'll back me up, right?
Nimbus wants to hug you. Do you allow that? He pulls you in and just wraps his arms tightly around you. Puts his chin on the top of your head,
He's tall enough to do that for sure.
allows you to just keep on saying what you're saying, and he's just nodding. He says, I'm your brother. We know how Mother is. Look, this has all been very wild. I thought it was already crazy when we met on Ice White Isle, and I got introduced to all these crazy people. Mother, and he loosens the embrace a bit. Mother misses you. Mother wants you to be safe, to be fulfilling your potential. Look, I have seen these people, and he gestures at the rest of your party here. They're all idiots by our standards, but they make you blossom. They give you the freedom that home could not give you.
Excuse me, I'm very intelligent.
Reed is being the most logical and sane one of all actually is, but yeah, sorry.
Excuse me?
But she still misses you. She would never admit it. She would never say to any of her faces that when she saw you in that throne room, that there was at least a spark of happiness. Because at the same time, she also thinks that you made that decision to just leave because she did something wrong. Did she do something wrong? You just wanted something else, right?
I just want to make her proud. I want to save our people, so Mother doesn't have to be the way she is.
And in doing that, she's scared for you. Scared of what you're taking on. And that fear is fueled when he just gestures towards Delphine. Solutions like this are taken. We're just gonna wait until your ship comes here. Well, I'll make sure we get you over to the ship you sailed in on. And give Mother some time. he looks at you, and for a moment, both of you feel like you're looking at each other as if you were children. Like, talking it out again after some stupid argument that only siblings can have with each other about the most redundant things. But
I can
but
imagine
afterwards
what it's like with. I can't imagine what it'd be like with twins.
exactly.
All of us with siblings, like I couldn't imagine that with a twin.
But now you're here, and it feels the same way, even now that you're full-grown adults. And you're both just trying to understand the immense complexity of an overcaring parent with duties. The wild magic storm around you has subsided, and it is replaced by a slow drizzle of rain. You see Nimbus stepping a bit away. He looks at the rest of the party. Looks over at Dythun. You have some new tricks.
Sort of those things similar to Mother.
Yes. And Nimbus steps over to you, looks at you and says, "Thank you for keeping a cool head." And he also looks over at Rebus. "To you too. I don't know how the two of you do it, with these other two."
No, I might be an idiot, as
I'll
you
take-
said,
tell
but
you.
I know not to overreact.
Look, when I said idiots, I meant it in a...
No, by all means, it's fine.
Okay.
I'm sure plenty of people here would say I am one. I probably wouldn't be wrong.
And as you're having this conversation, you hear the sounds of someone climbing out of the water next to you. There is, soaked in water, is this pirate woman with her tricorn and her eye patch on and this strange dragon mark across her face. And she climbing out ahead of her is this tiny pseudo dragon that just scatters up the railing, looks at her and kind of like cheers her on with his wings to climb out of the water. And she just
Is she
flicks
stepping
off some
onto
of...
this one?
Sorry?
Is she stepping onto our ship?
Yes,
Or
yeah.
Marin's ship?
The Undenes ship, yeah. She's...
Gun out, pointed.
We have no chill.
I will actually go over and help her up.
He's
the
not making
two
any
sides of
correct-
this party.
Just a warning.
A warning, yeah. Rebus, you help her up out of the water, and she says, "Oh, well, thank you very much. And she just flicks up some
My
water.
apologies.
"Oh, I don't see what you should apologize for. Whatever little conversation we had might have nudged the time and fate so that I was not here when there was a freaking explosion on top of this ship."
Like
Whew.
Rayn turns her head and like you never even asked her name. The woman would see like I guess the Triton equivalent of like streaked eyeliner and mascara, like puffy face.
From what I gathered, while just, doggy paddling out in the water, this was kind of a bit of a family matter here, so I didn't want to interrupt. But I do want to interrupt considering, and she points over at the charred orrery on the ground. My father's not really going to be happy about that.
There are a lot of people who will not be that happy about it.
Who?
Yes.
Also, who is your father?
Yes, thank you.
Your father being?
Who are you? And I turn to Nimbus as like, go.
And I'm gonna pick up the orrery, which is like still probably slightly burning.
You ask the question while you pick up. Yeah, the orrery is still warm. You can like touch it, but it's still warm to the touch. And
I swear to God, Delphine, if you get fire damage from this and pass out again, I will personally go into the game and slap you.
you
Come up here and come to me.
it is warm, but it's just warm enough to do like 0.25 fire damage, not more than that. And you pick it up, and while Rayn asks the question, and Delphine is about to ask the same question, like, who is your father? You see this woman like straighten her long coat, popping up that collar of the coat, the pseudo dragon nesting on her shoulder as if it knows what's happening. It's just like sitting there, folding the wings, bit of a smirk on its draconic little face. And the woman stands there. Well, I'm glad you finally asked. I love introducing myself. I am Koulton Brightwind, none other than the only daughter and child of the one true prince of the Lazar principalities, descendant of the storm, he who tamed lightning, the one who came here to unite the principalities, banished from his birthright to find his own.
I don't want
The
a
one in-
daughter-in-law like you.
I'm not related to him. I'm talking about Prince Koulton Brightwind, formerly known as Koulton de Lyranders, but he has decided to forge his own destiny. Leader of the Wind Whisperer Pirates. Are you new to the principalities?
I really hope you don't expect me to remember any of that.
Yeah, well, greetings. We are
As a
done.
matter of
Thanks,
fact,
let us go.
yes.
Are you just handing over the charred remains of the...
No, I did just pointing towards like somewhere.
Like Rayn slowly feels like her sass meter like starts to like finally rejuvenate up as she like gently, like kindly, like nudges Nimbus down the stairs. Like just like pushes him away from the situation, just mouthing to him like, "We'll talk later."
Yeah.
So, Miss Tailwind, is it fair to assume you're here for the orrery?
Well, that is what I was trying to recover from this ship, but then your ship came in here. Then apparently someone else took this. Then she, and points over at Rayn, tried to make a temporary alliance here. And then there was an explosion, and now it is destroyed.
See, and
With
if
the
you just wouldn't have
advantage-
attacked us in the first place, none of this would have happened. We could have been down there grabbing it already.
Interesting way of putting this. How should I say that? That's bullshit, and here are the reasons for it. You see, I don't know you people, and there's a rule in the principalities. If you don't know someone, you need to get to know them, and one of the best ways to get to know someone is safely from on board of your own ship while your people are on their ship fighting them. And if they survive, maybe you can have a conversation with them. If they don't, they're no longer your problem.
Rayn
You...
starts using control water to make these like little like water gun sized gouges of water like shoot past the pseudo dragon. Like she's trying to get the pseudo dragon's attention to like almost like poop its nose or go past its snout?
As you fire these water pellets, you see Therif raise one hand, and she's taking over control from your water pellets and flings them by her. As I was saying, you survived this introduction, so you are worth getting to know.
Telepathic connection with the pseudo-dragon.
Just to double check, I'm pretty sure Pseudo Dragon has the intelligence for it.
I just
We're not
want it to be-
interested in this very special NPC, just her pet.
I also was gonna say, Dython also is like definitely giving more attention to the pseudo dragon.
Because we're so
You-
mean.
He's like, I don't know who this person is.
You get into the mind of the Pseudo Dragon. And what do you tell it?
Well, hello there. I mean, when do you get to say something? Is it always like this? Does she care what you have to say?
What all of you see on the outside is that the Pseudo Dragon like perks up, like the neck like completely straight, like almost like a mercat at attention, and you hear in your head, Rayn, "Hey, what's this? Who you? What's this voice doing in my head?"
Do you like fish?
Oh, do I like fish? I love me some fish. I go diving for it, I go flying for it, and sometimes this broad over here gives me some of it.
One moment. And in the middle, while the broad is just kind of Rayn is just going to walk off the ship and just into the water. And I want to, as fast as possible, try to grab a fish.
Oh yeah, there's some like, there's the Eberron version of tuna swimming by.
Lady talking, and Rayn just kind of flies over with like a moderate fish. Like she didn't spend too much time. Just kind of like holds it out.
The tail of the dragon just like flicks around in excitement, and it's like, oh, you need to give me that. You need to give me that. Come on. Come on. You are you always that kind of a tease? No, you're not, right? Oh, I see what you're trying to do. I see what you're trying to do. But I have a good thing going here, like a really good thing. You know, in her ship, I have my own pillow. I do my napping on the pillow. I do my thinking on the pillow.
It's right here.
Oh, you're driving a hard bargain.
5 seconds fresh.
So what the rest of you sees is that Rayn just like quickly dipped into the water, came back out, and is dangling fish in front of the pseudo dragon, while Tharif is trying to talk you to all of it. And at a certain point, she just goes like, "Are you trying to feed my pet?"
Ignoring, like, just for a minute, telepathically. I'll hold it for you.
Give me
I have fish with advantage.
could you give me an animal handling check with advantage, please?
17. The other one was a 3.
17. You see, like, the pseudo dragon like quickly snaps his head over to Tharif, then back to you. I'm gonna regret this. And he just hops over onto your shoulder, and you hear Tharif saying, "Spittle rhyme, what the fuck?" And he hops on your shoulder. You said you're gonna hold it, right? You're gonna hold it. Okay. Here, yeah, and like you see the neck twist, and like the mouth opens, and you can like hold the fish over it, and you just hear telepathically the pseudo dragon saying, "Conquer," and just starts eating the fish. Delicious. And Tharif is now just like staring at you, Rayn.
I'm sorry, you were saying?
I feel so betrayed. like, this is a terrible day. I can't get the item I was sent out for. I had to sail through the storm. And my beloved Spittle Rhyme, my little Spitty, is just so easily tempted. Spitty, after all we've been through. And all of you just see the little pseudo-dragon, like, spit out some of the bones of the fish, like fish doesn't really have bones, but there's like these little bones in there.
Like a spine or
And-
something.
Yeah, the spine, like, spit them out, and you just hear this sound Spittle Rhyme makes.
I mean, they do appreciate the pillow.
She holds out her arm, and Spittle Rhyme just looks at you and says, "Thank you for the fish."
See you,
And-
Speedy.
Hops over on the arm and then back on the shoulder. Anyway, as I was explaining to y'all, you might have some explaining to do to my father what happened here. I need some eyewitnesses, and you should come over to my ship to talk about this.
I look at the party.
Not
I
really
mean-
like I'm not really seeing any kind of getaway vessel for you.
I mean, we're effectively all on a submarine that's trying to leave without us.
Yes.
So yes.
I'll just
All right.
I call the ship over, and you get to meet the future prince, High Prince of the Principalities. And she pulls out from her belt like another of her flare guns, and she's trying to fire it, but there's just this plop sound of water. The flare gun has been waterlocked by her swim through the water.
Typhon sends up a firebolt.
Goes off, and she looks at you.
That will do.
Much appreciated. Thank you. This was
Heading over to Daithun and just ask, have I met the prince already? I feel like I'm missing something.
I think this is what we call delusions of grandeur.
You know, Rebus, there are several
I'll
princes.
make a note of
Yeah,
that.
It's the principalities. I'm sure there's a bunch
Yeah,
of
that-
people who.
There are several princes around here, each who has like large fleets, more or less. Or some specialities, more or less. You know, that kind of shit. And they are all kind of fighting for who has the bigger dick.
Wait, they have to fight?
No, you know, Revis, we're not gonna actually discuss that. I'll explain it to you some other
The
time.
organics are so... I don't... Okay, you might have to explain this to me later.
Over a
And-
drink.
we might get this explanation at some point, but we do see approaching is the large elemental vessel, this large galleon surrounded by an elemental ring of water that rides through the waves and goes and picks up the party. And how the encounters on that ship will go, we will see after a quick little break. So we're going to be gone for about 5 minutes. We'll be back at 5 minutes before half the hour, so 25 past the hour. That's how we make it easier. And
Hold on, let me get my calculator.
take a chance to quickly stretch your legs, grab a drink before we continue for today in our second part. See you in 5 minutes.
Toodles.
And,
Oh no.
and we are back.
Recording the amateur audio editor in me. Stop.
We have just spent our break making weird noises and the stuff, but now we are back here for the second part of today's session, where we just had on our first part dealing with some of the fallout of a magical explosion, dealing with family, and dealing with the daughter of a self-styled prince of the Lazar Principalities. And dealing with that daughter, that's where we're actually going to pick up at this point. all of you have boarded this massive elemental vessel, a ship that you climb up on by rope ladders. And on top of the deck, you're already awaited by a cosmopolitan crew of deckhands, pirates, scoundrels, whatever you would like to call them, who already await the return of Koulton Brightwind, who climbs up first on top of the deck, looks at all of you as you come up there, and quickly tells her crew to not worry about it, that she has found these brave freebooters who are interested in an audience with Prince Koulton and who have some explaining to do about what happened to some treasure he was looking for.
Rayn just kind of smirks and smiles and waves at the pirates who they were fighting earlier. Because they
There
would have
are indeed,
attacked the
yes,
ship.
that is a very good point. There are some of the, on the deck, there are some of the pirates that you had encountered on the ship. And those look at all of you. Some of you may be still covered with some soot from the fireball, but some of these pirates also look terrible. And they look at all of you, just nod, and
A minor illusion, the glowing bead of light on my finger. And then I
what?
blow and it like dissolves like dandelion seeds.
One of those pirates just flinches and lets you walk by. And to just paint you a little bit of a picture, there is on the outside of the ship, like this ship is a massive galleon. This is larger than the ship you came in on, but it does not have any kind of sails on top of its deck. All of its motive force is done by this elemental wheel of water that surrounds it, reminiscent of an elemental wheel that you see surrounding an airship that you have some experience with. The majority of the top deck is thus also reserved for any kind of additional cargo space, but also platforms that are equipped with cannons. Platforms that are able to move their angles with fairly modern looking cannons, and especially Delphine, I would say that you would recognize these. These are top of the line, late last war cannons that were usually reserved for like significant warships. This is not something that you just find randomly in the principalities. Someone pulled some strings to get these on this ship. And all around there's these masts with banners flying the heraldry of the Wind Whisperers, these pirates that you have heard about. Actually, the faction that High Prince Ryger was offering to broker a meeting with, to see whatever kind of deals you could make with the excoriate of House de Lyranders. But apparently your actions have brought you to a place where you can broker your own meeting with these figures. Ferif leads you across the deck towards a large staircase that leads below deck, and she just seems to take a few detours, like moving you past some of these cannons, moving you past chests and treasure chests that are filled with coins and gems and other wealth that must have come from all over the principalities.
Oh, Dython, this is probably a good example to further explain to Rebus that expression you were mentioning earlier.
Yes. So Dython like leans over to Rebus. Okay, so like the dick is metaphorical, and like measuring that is like more of like one's station and sense of self. Um, like who has the bigger
So a
ship.
metaphorical set of genitalia that
No, it's
like directly impacts
it's
like
a
the
stupid
pride,
expression.
like the pride.
Yes, pride.
Okay.
Variv has led you to what looks like a gigantic whaling harpoon that is reaching out over the side of the deck. As she points at it, and she catches your conversation, and she says, "I see what you're doing." She then looks over her shoulder at the large whaling harpoon cannon behind her. All right. All right.
Is this just for show, or did you ever use this one?
We did. We have some fairly gigantic fauna living in these waters.
Exhibit B, Rebus.
I remember a time when we were hunting giant whales, an entire pod of them.
Let's see, yes.
They were easily twice the size of our
Exhibit
ship.
D.
Anyhow, I don't want to bore you with my whaling stories.
Yes, please.
Follow me. Let us go downstairs. I'm fairly sure my father will be in his private chambers. Don't worry about your attire or anything. You are. He wouldn't expect you to come into any kind of special suits or something. You're just the right fit for this.
Dythid says, looking down at his perfectly immaculate, gleaming armor.
And
I think I look pretty good, but
she leads you down the stairs, and you come past, like, below decks. There's also these. There's still light shining through whatever kind of grates are in the top deck. You see ropes dangling here from the ceiling of the lower decks. Deckhands and other sailors busy arranging the inventory, whatever this massive ship has loaded in its hull beneath the decks. You wander through this labyrinth of containers and boxes to come to what is probably the aft of the ship, and there is a very ornate wooden door that is decorated with beautiful steel kraken, or kraken, depending on how you want to pronounce it. This krakens, these arms, the tentacles covering most of the door, and the eyes of the kraken are set with large rubies.
exhibits E and F.
Theriv knocks. What you hear from the other side of the door. Yes. Father, I've come to report back from the mission, and I have some... And she stops for a moment. You hear from the other side. I hope you have results. Come in.
Does the voice match the memory I had gleaned into Therith last session?
Yes, the voice matches definitely.
So Rayn sort of knows exactly who is on the other side.
Exactly, the salt pepper-haired figure that you saw in the thoughts. And that figure is revealed as Theriv pulls open the door, and you see a light-filled room. It almost is as if the entire aft of the ship is just one big collection of window panes, allowing in tons and tons of light. There are myriads of potted plants in here, almost making this look like some kind of nobleman's solarium or garden. Scent of various blossoming flowers fills your noses. But in between these beautiful flora, there are tables and desks and chairs, reading spaces, sofas to sit on, and a large display of nautical maps of various parts of Eberron. And currently seated behind one of these desks here, using this tool to measure distances on a nautical map, you see a man of middle age, salt and pepper hair, bit of a rough beard, and climbing out from underneath his partially open shirt, the stretches of a dragon mark that come up the front of his throat. He rises from his chair and takes a cane that is leaning against the desk to stabilize his walking. Cane taps on the wooden floor. He puts both of his hands on the top of the cane and looks at all of you. I have not seen your faces before on my ship or on any other ship here in the Principalities, and I pride myself on knowing many, many faces. Who are you, and why did my daughter, in her infinite wisdom, bring you aboard my ship?
I give a knowing look to Thereth, like almost apologetic, like, oh, I'm sorry.
Let's say we are the people that more or less destroyed your plans.
Destroyed my plans, and your choice is then to wander on my ship and tell that to my face?
It wasn't our plan. Your daughter thought were worth meeting you.
And knowing full well you have foiled my plans, and knowing what my daughter was offering you, your choice was to go along with that plan.
It wasn't really planned, but it's beside the point. Anyway,
Are you the kind of person that plans anything?
Oh, yeah. At some point I will stab Delphine in the back.
You see the man smirk. He's enjoying Delphine's candor, her style, and says, and he just starts laughing. Come in here, he waves with his cane. Close the door behind you. Make yourself comfortable. There should be enough space for everyone. If you want to sit somewhere where something's in the way, just shove it aside. So, if I understand correctly, since I was looking for the precious cargo that High Prince Rygar was missing, you were involved in its destruction.
And finding it and destroying it, yes.
So you were looking for it as well?
Yes. And approximately how many other people? I think we have 5 in total. 5 different parties that were looking for it. Maybe more. Who knows?
That bloody oaf. He can't keep his mouth shut about things. He thinks he was so secretive in getting this item shipped over from Sarlona. And then half the principalities show up when word gets out that it's missing. It's a matter of time before someone knocks him off that throne. But now yet you're here, you did prevent me from getting it. But you also made sure that Ryger is never getting it. Which is excellent.
Now, by the way, Rayn, nice to meet you. Now, as someone new to these parts, of course you haven't seen my face before, and be sure you don't forget this one. I ask simply due to my own ignorance, but words aside, are you in a position to challenge Hyperin's Ryger's authority and presence? Or is this more a wish for the future?
You say a lot of words, but there's a lot more words that you don't say, but that you imply. Are you by any chance a politician yourself?
Fortunately not, but unfortunately a bit too familiar. All the more with the parts.
Daughter dear, you brought in the right people. I'm enjoying these folk.
Well, in that
Do I-
case, let me put on my politician facade. If you want to ensure that your influence might rival or even objectively take over Ryger's, then we have someone you absolutely need to meet and hear out how their offer to consolidate power could put you in a better place.
His eyebrows are raised. Straightens his posture, leaning both hands on his cane. Can I get a round of insight checks from everyone?
Insight. That's really good.
Oh.
19 total.
19 total.
Yeah,
Just
I've just
landing on
17.
corners. There we go. Jeez.
7 for Delphine.
17.
17 for Delphine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dirty
14 for
20.
Revis.
Dirty 20 and a 14. All of you would gather from the way this salt and pepper hair man carries himself. He's presenting himself as very approachable, but he's also holding back information at this point. He's just trying to see how much all of you are willing to say before he says more. And in response to what Rayn says, he says, "And tell me then, what kind of individual, organization, faction would that be?"
Well, my dear friend Therap here can certainly attest to the challenges sometimes we have with those we are bonded to, and how particularly challenging it is to experience those bonds with. And I walk towards Thereth and I do that dramatic turn to this High Prince with family.
Family. I have good relations with the family I have left. My daughter's here in my room. She shares my passion, my love for the seas.
Disguise self, I am Lyrander the Lyrander. as I just kind of raise my arm and like this black tar like quickly just like rises up over my feet, over my body, and it like thins itself over all of Rayn's body, filled with crooks and nannies, and reassembles into a taller half-elf man, blue hair, resemblance to Delphine.
No, he has black hair.
Sorry, black hair, resemblance to Delphine.
You finish this transmogrification. And within a single heartbeat, the top of his cane is pulled off. All of you hear a poof as something is shot through the room, and a bullet flies by Rayn, shoots a hole in the wall behind her, and you see the man standing there holding in one hand the top of his cane, revealing to be a hidden pistol with smoke still coming from it. Having missed Rayn.
They stand there.
You dare to bring his face in here? You dare to remind me of that man? You dare to call back the memory of what he witnessed and did not stop? And at that, he just pulls open his loose shirt, and you see, covering most of his torso, is a scar-covered dragon mark, as if multiple hits of whips have cracked against it over and over, layers of scar tissue over the dragon mark. Now, I hope for your goodwill that you were merely jesting, that you have seen this man somewhere, and that you're trying to make my blood boil, and that you're not really insinuating that I would talk with him.
Rayn will let the disguise self drop, so the form shimmers and like this oil, tar, blackness just kind of drops off her, and as it puddles at her feet, disappears as well. And Rayn will just like walk over to a couch, sit down, and like try to bribe over the pseudo dragon again.
What is the rest of you doing in the meantime?
Dython wants to speak but can't remember this guy's name.
He hasn't introduced himself yet, but I mean, Tharif has called him. Yeah.
Tharif said what his name was, but Dython's like, God, I really wish I knew what this guy's name was.
Dython would think his name was Bolton.
Bolton? Well, I know his... Dython remembers his last surname, Brightwind, but... I don't know. I think maybe Dython would speak up if, like, Rayn is not making an effort to continue this conversation. Lord Prince Brightwind? Prince Brightwind, that's the one. That was me. That was my mistake. I legitimately forgot for a second. After all of that.
And technically, Lord fits as well since he has a dragon mark.
Prince Brightwind. Unfortunately, we were brought here under the behest of the Lyrander estate. Though us not, well, most of us not directly connected to them. He has a lot of interesting propositions and developments within the structure of the family recently.
I'm sure he does. I'm very sure he does. Always the ambitious climber, always looking for his opportunities, trying to see how he can further enforce his position as Rain Caller, always trying to make sure his family, his part of the family, gets the best cut out of it.
You know him pretty well.
I've had my dealings with old Leowen. And he looks at you. And don't you think for a moment that I don't know that you are Delphine de Lyranda? I know your face. I know the stories about you. And I know how the house has treated you. I know perfectly well that the Lyranda family came in here to the principalities, riding in on an airship, an audience with the High Prince. Don't you think I have my eyes and ears in the court of Rygar? And I can fully imagine that probably Leowen is pulling some grand gambit now, that now any remnant of the family can be used as any cast of chaff that he can put into his own plans? What is it? Is he trying to dethrone the matriarch? Put himself in there as a patriarch?
Oh, she's dead.
What?
You know,
Matriarch
never introduced
assures us
myself.
that
He walks slowly, like he put back the top of his cane on top of his cane, buttoned up his shirt again, and he slowly walks over to a cabinet. Say that again.
Ding dong. Escrivash is gone.
He kicks the cabinet, and the door of the cabinet springs open, and revealing there's this revolving door of liquor in there. And he whips out a diamond bottle, opens it. Just one more time.
Ding
someone recorded,
dong.
please, Glenn.
She is gone.
He brings the bottle to his lips and goes, no, wait. Are you sure? This is not kind of trick.
The matriarch is dead.
Stabbed to death in her own bed. Her blood splurting out of her body all over the silken drapes
Right.
that adorn the canopies of that four-poster bed.
Theriv looks over at Rayn.
How is Delphine reacting to this?
Well, she keeps silent at that.
Prince Brightwind stands there, takes a big sip from the bottle. If you know who did that, bring them to me. I want to shower them in gold and gems and...
You know, funny you say that.
He looks like there's a glitter in his eyes. No.
Well,
I look over at the bullet hole in the wall.
We know who ordered that assassination, who did the assassination, and who helped with it.
Who within that nest of decadent liars would have called a hit on the matriarch?
Well, Prince Brightwind, let me say, the person who actually killed her is here within the principalities, and so is the person who ordered it. Wouldn't you like to meet that person?
I would enjoy having both of them on my ship. I would revel in the details of the deed and could finally put that part of my miserable existence behind me.
And of course, move forward. Do what is perhaps difficult, even if it is lonely, for the good of the family you have now.
I need one of you, most likely either Rayn or Delphine, but you can pick who does the roll, to make a persuasion check with advantage.
I have a +6.
Not me.
Okay. Rayn says this while also looking at Dareth, because Dareth experienced a bit of this familial situation that happened like less than half an hour ago.
Mm-hmm.
That is going to be a dirty 20.
Dirty 20.
No, higher.
Crystal-
Sorry, 21. Dirty 21.
21. Dirty 21. The dirtiest of 20s. You...
The legalist.
legalist. He holds this crystal bottle in his hand, smiling. And then those words, family, sink in.
And Rayn has also dropped this smirk and the sort of sass when she kind of says this a bit more solemnly.
Can you get those people here to my ship? Well, can I sail my ship towards them where I can find them? If I were to sail it, where would I set sail to?
I believe at the moment they are guests of Rygers. So, cordialities. The usual presentation. I'm sure you're all very familiar with the manners of court, even in a place like this.
I know how to deal with Ryga. If they're at his court, we shall sail towards Regalport. He will not keep my ship from his harbor. I need to pay a visit to my dear High Prince and the guests he has. And if Leowyn is there as well. I might strike something else off my list. Have a seat, make yourself comfortable. I'll inform the head to set course for Regalport. You'll be my guests until then. And he walks out of the room. Thareth, I'll need you on my side. I think some of the men here are slacking off a bit. You know how to get them back in shape. Yes, Father. We'll improve morale and make sure we'll get to Regalport as quick as possible. And the two of them leave the room, leaving you alone. Just the party here in the room now. It's just the four of you. The door closes. Is there anything you do while it's just the four of you?
He left us in his, like, royal chambers?
Yes.
I'm gonna go look at the desk he was sitting behind and just see if there's anything laying on top of it.
It's a bunch of nautical maps of the Lazar principalities with different trade routes and wind directions, general wind directions marked in there. There's also on the desk an object that you've also seen on airships before, which looks like a small elemental shard that seems to indicate with a little glow inside from which direction the wind is currently blowing, so that you can also take that into your calculations. There are some cargo manifests also on there, like just these thick books with like details of what's in the cargo, what's being shipped around currently. Mostly just really logistical information.
Nothing fun.
Rayn will cast Sending to Leowyn. Mark up spell slots.
Mm-hmm.
Third. No, we spent all the spell slots that last point. All right. I can connect with Leowyn. Any filters? Any issue?
You can send a message across.
On our way to Regalport with Brightwind. He wasn't pleased to hear about you, but the news of the matriarch pleased him.
Message arrives, and what comes back, you hear the voice of Leowyn. I thought Rygar wanted to broker a meeting. But I should have expected that you find another way. We'll prepare for his arrival. See you in Regalport.
From the couch that Rayn was on, she just kind of stretches her legs, puts it on top, and just like, Leowyn is informed. My goodness, what a singed, sorry lot you all are right now.
I'm not sure if this was the best decision in total. But we will see what will come out of it in Regalport.
I mean, we have to share the responsibility of making bad decisions.
You know that I didn't meant this to happen.
And I didn't mean to die. But I got too caught up in trying to convince myself that our mistakes have to be our own. It didn't really hit until I saw that they affect more than those who make the mistake. I'm sorry all this has happened.
I'm sorry you feel the need to apologize. Dyson's gonna walk over to Rayn and put his hand like on both of her shoulders. Whose shoulders are these?
Who would you like them to be?
I want them to be yours.
Oh, I still had some magic. I mean, I could have a minor illusion, a very fuzzy nimbus over my face like a mask. But it's minor illusion, so it's like very blurry.
The point is, they're not your mother's. The burdens on her shoulders are not yours. We have our own burdens to bear. And I want you to keep that in mind, that we here are sharing that with you.
That is very kind and noble of you to say, Dyson. But I think you're also saying that to yourself that it may be true. Because you and Delphine and myself and even Rebus understand that the expectations of those that come before us are absolutely on our shoulders as well.
I do.
You know, I bet we all know what we got ourselves into here. And I personally believe that being sorry about it might be a good thing, but it will not change how things happened. And I think accepting the situations and trying to make the best out of it is a way better approach to it.
It's not that I accept being sorry about it. It's that I accept that other people give a damn, and well, shoot, I guess I have to give a damn about them too.
You know, I tried to take you out of the situation so that your mom would not leash out onto you.
I guess I'm not the only one with a death wish. But we
And
need her.
I didn't do this for any other reason than just knowing that you really want to have your connection with your family. And making sure that she is angry about someone else is the best way.
I had something very clever in mind, but instead I'll just say thank you instead. Now, one family crisis at a time, please.
What do you mean? How many do we have at the moment? I think it's still manageable.
Can you get me a drink? And you know where your uncle, cousin keeps the good stuff.
I have no clue how we are related.
Alcohol will soothe it over.
Dythrin will actually walk. He's like, fuck it, I need one too.
Oh, bring me one as well. Like,
Is this a
I'm gonna
short
grab the
rest?
good bottle.
Are we here an hour?
Look, if you're gonna make yourself comfortable with a few nice drinks here on the house of the prince here, I'm totally gonna count this as a short rest. If you,
Because just in
if-
case, I think some people could really use it.
if anyone wants to make use of a short rest to spend some hit dice and stuff like that, feel
Oh, yeah,
free
sweet.
to roll for that. And just to montage this short rest, you would make yourself comfortable here in the captain's quarters. Eventually, also, the captain would come back here, check in with you, share some drinks with you as well, as you notice how the ship is making its way back to Regalport at fairly impressive speeds at that as well. And I think to find out what happens at Regalport, we're going to quickly take our second short break for today as your characters are taking your short rest. We're going to be back in about 5 minutes tops, so about 18, 19 past the hour. And we're going to see what in the final part of today's session is going to transpire as we head back to bring some NPCs together who totally have no bad blood between them. So
yeah.
make sure to stretch your legs, get some drinks, and we'll be back in 5. See you in 5.
Noodles.
Oh, and we are back for our last and final part for today's session. The party has met Koulton Brightwind, not Highwind. This is not a Final Fantasy game. And you have made some introductions, made some great first impressions, brought back some painful memories for this House de Lyranda exorciate, but have gotten them interested to meet the person who killed Matriarch Ezravage de Lyranda and the person who organized that murder. Prince Brightwind still oblivious to the fact that that is also Léowen de Lyranda, a man who he also blames for his entire situation, apparently. Party, you have enjoyed a few hours here on this fast elemental galleon as it has set course for Regalport. The ship pulls into the massive harbor and networks of docks in what is kind of the capital of the Lazar Principalities. You find yourself on the top deck as you pull closer to this massive ship that belongs to the High Prince.
I think that on the ride here, if Therith and her pseudo dragon walking around, Rayn would kind of try to talk to the pseudo dragon telepathically, just kind of ask, because she and the pseudo dragon were in the room during that exchange with Koulton. And
Right.
Rayn would ask, so those awful marks on your High Prince's body, who did that? Do you know? By whose order?
Oh, the wounds there? Those markings on them? Like you're asking about that father of Theriv, right?
Yeah.
Oof. Well, I just know the stories. I mean, I haven't been with these two for long, but
Tell me the stories.
I just know that apparently he was once part of Lyranders,
Yeah.
the dragon marked house. That's where he got the dragon mark from. But he must have done something that was really not that really rustled a lot of jimmies over there, and he got punished for it. Like I heard the stories that back in the old days they actually would try to really remove that dragon mark. Now that sounds nasty to me. You shouldn't do that, but instead of that, I think they just really flayed it.
Well, that's
Not that it did have.
That's
that
not okay,
didn't-
by the way.
Oh no, that's absolutely not okay. Fortunately, Koulton here, he can still use it. Like he still does some of those tricks that the people with the dragon mark can do. Just looks really horrible.
No, I'm asking because I wonder if, that lady we were talking about, the dead one, called for the order. Might be very therapeutic for him to know that she no longer has a say in those kind of things because she's dead,
Yeah, I get how that works. But I'm not sure, Look, Koulton, he isn't really like an open book or something. He doesn't talk a lot about these kind of things.
But you're very
And-
perceptive. People don't think you listen in and know, but I know better.
Oh, I listen in on all of them. I'm sitting on the shoulders and I'm listening in. I know their secrets. I know everybody's dirty laundry on this ship. I do.
Do the old family, do they know about Therith? Do they know about her mark? Hers
Well,
is different.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
It
I was
is.
wondering. It seems really different. Different color, different shape. She does
Peop-
different things with this too.
People don't like what's different, and that's not its fault. And I wouldn't be surprised if her father's trying to protect her from it.
Oh, well, whatever you might think about Koulton, he really does try to protect his daughter. I can guarantee you that.
That's wonderful to hear.
He's, the two of them stick together like two things that stick together.
All right. Well,
Sure do.
my friends and I, for at least we can say confidently, we appreciate what's different. We give an ear to what's different. We accept what's different.
That's
But-
good.
but
Good way to approach it.
But sometimes you also have to take the bounties of your differentness and kind of teach the old ways, the new ones you've come across. They don't know any better. It's not that they're not responsible for it. Oh my god, they are, but they're not as brave as we are.
Yeah, but don't you think that sometimes the people in these old ways, it's just that they don't know better, They need to be seen that there's different paths.
They also have to sometimes be alive to hear that message. Sometimes, most of the times.
Yeah. Kind of hard to hear when you're dead.
Mm-hmm. That Ashrabash lady, she didn't listen at all.
Gets you killed.
So yeah, that's what we're about. I mean, I'm sure you tell everything to Thereth because you two are thick as thieves. I mean, she has she has her pillow for you and everything.
She just got me also the second pillow. It is marvelous. Super soft, but I gotta tell you, Rayn, she can't talk to me like this,
Really?
Like, I mean, I'm just a poor pseudo dragon. I can talk. It's this weird thing you do that allows us to talk.
Is there anything you'd like me to tell her on your behalf that you couldn't all this time?
Well, I mean, would be great to tell her that I really like the pillows she gives me. And, that I'd rather have tuna than herring. But mostly, that she's really, really kind to me. I'm so happy to be with her. She gives really good scratches. She really knows there's this place under my chin and she finds it and it's perfect.
I will let her know.
Good.
All right. You
I'm
and I
gonna
are
get me
cool,
some
right?
fish. What?
You and I are cool, right?
Oh yeah. Thick as thieves. Not that I think you're a thief. We didn't steal anything. We're gonna steal something?
Only if we want it.
I know that the cook of the ship keeps his good stuff in the kitchen. Wanna help me steal some?
Okay.
And the two of you scuttle off to go acquire some food. As the ship is eventually back in the harbor, you're close to this massive ship known as the Dragon Eye of High Prince Raiga. The gangplanks from one large ship are moved out to another large ship. And together with Koulton Highwind, who has changed into this massive long coat that is just trailing in the wind, leaning on his walking cane, and Koulton Brightwind is also there. You march together with all of them into the court as Dythun raises his paw.
On the way over there, can we still have the orrery, right? Delphine has that.
The remains of it.
Gotcha.
Could Dythun have taken 10 minutes to try and detect magic just to see if it actually has any traces of magic still within it, or is it like completely like inert now?
That would definitely been something that you could use detect magic on to see if you can still find some traces of that in it. A typical fighter feature, as we all know.
Yeah.
And you bring in you channel on the right there. You've inspected the remains of the orrery. There are very faint magical traces left in it. There is very faint auras of conjuration, evocation, and transmutation in there. But they're really like you would know from like you're not an expert in reading these magic traces yet, but you would know that from just a casting of a single low-level spell, more magical energy would be visible than is left in this item.
Right.
But you shared that information, Dyson.
Yes, and I want you to know canonically, whenever he casts detect magic, especially as a ritual, he like starts off by like placing it on the ground, kind of kneeling in front of it. He holds out like this symbol on his chain, and then his eyes go big, and he does like the cat thing where they're like hunting, like giant eyes. He's just staring at it for like 10 minutes. Like, yes,
I
there's
love
some kind
it.
of faint magic within this orrery here. Very minor, not much at all actually. So I don't think this is
So for normal use, it's
necessarily
not.
any use.
Yeah,
Mm.
it's not usable no more.
Which also means I don't think this is necessarily dangerous anymore.
Well, if
So-
it would be, then we would have Triton taken the storm with us that originated from it.
Rayn will go into one of her side pockets, pull out a pearl, give it a rub, and cast Identify. If there is the lingering magic, it still might be a magical item and might have latent abilities that may be dormant or recessed for now, but who knows?
You cast Identify on it, and
I learn properties, how to use, whether spells
they-
are affecting them, what they are.
at some point in this item's history, there were magical properties to it, but no more. This only has faint traces of magic, but whatever powers it had are gone.
Good to know.
Oh well, might make a good trophy somewhere. Or a candle holder?
Could refurbish it.
All right. Still think it might be worth keeping nonetheless.
True.
All right then. I had a talk with that pet of Thereth's. Not quite sure who was directly responsible for, the state of Koulton's dragon mark. I mean, Delphine, if your father had a responsibility in there.
Oh yeah, and I certainly can't tell. I know that in the past it was more common to try to remove it, and that quite often people didn't survive this, but those who survived it, it could also happen that the mark grows back. But this is like way, way long ago.
I can appreciate your father trying to, do the new thing and be accepting and welcoming. And it takes certain actions beyond just talking. And of course, giving an excoriate at the time of day is clearly one of those actions. But I wonder how a house like the Lyranders would look on dragon marks out of the norm within their own family.
You know, that's something that I can't even answer you.
Well,
There are simply just too many people that have something to say. Maybe things change. Who knows?
hopefully this house handles it better than some.
Touche.
As audience, we basically get these kind of conversations as kind of little flashbacks as the party wanders towards the court of High Prince Rhaegar. At this point, already flanked by some of his household guards, which have their unique helmets each in their own personal design, while wearing the uniforms and tabards of the High Prince. And you enter the courtroom / drinking eating hall that you've been, where you had this meeting with the High Prince, with the Undeneth family, with Aurea, with all of these elements moving together. And as you enter here now, you can clearly see that someone has given a heads up to High Prince Rhaegar that he would have an important visitor. Because as you enter here now, there's not just some rabble and scoundrels sitting at these long tables, drinking and feasting, not some random bands in the corner with old accordions and other instruments. The place is tidied up. Mostly empty. But there's some more guards here, spread across the room, keeping an eye on the doors that open. And seated on his elevated throne, made out of this collection of driftwood, you see High Prince Rhaegar in his finest clothing. Freshly done his hair, trimmed his beard a little bit, keeps a little bit of a longer mustache at this point, a little bit of curl to it, and he sits there, and as you enter, he gets up and already stretches his arms out. Koulton! My friend, it has been too long since you honored me with your attendance here in my court. Do tell, how do the waves roar against your majestic vessel? How do the wind whisperers ride across my principalities?
Read this.
This is. I will take notes.
Yes.
What, example G at this point?
This is the final test for you. Then you will have perfected this understanding, these nuances. I have full faith in your studious approach.
Koulton steps forward, leans on his cane and says, the wind whisperers would enjoy the principalities more if they were in different states, but that's not what we're here for. I've been told you have people visiting that have done my family a great favor. These rapscallions here, he gestures at all of you, have told me that murderous most glorious hide in your halls. And Rhaegar says, Koulton. I have not murderers in my halls. I have mercenaries here. I have assassins.
Fate makers.
Fate makers. What a word. This shall echo in these halls. Brilliant. But you have come here looking for friends from abroad. Friends that came along with these adventurers. Friends who are excited to get to meet you, I have been told. And he snips his fingers And one of the side doors opens, and stepping out is, first, Leowin, also in his finest clothing. And Koulton, you can see his hands wrapping around the top of his cane, like really squeezing the steel of it.
Rayn will make a telepathic connection with Leowin if she's within range.
She's
And
within range.
Delphine will just slightly put one of her hands on her gun if Koulton is like doing any tricks.
Gotcha.
And she will make her Rayn will make herself known to Leowin to just sort of quickly like he's very emotional about hearing from you. You know how passions lead to violence.
Leowin nods at you, but doesn't respond telepathically. He moves himself a bit closer, hands folded before him. And walking not far behind Leowin, you see Haral. She's dressed in some fairly simple leather clothing. The clothing themselves not really dragging any attention to her. And she just smiles at all of you as she also curtsies quickly before Koulton Brightwind. Leowin looks over. I come to understand you go by Prince these days, Koulton. And Koulton just doesn't respond to it, just stares at Leowin. Things have changed in the Lyrander house. And I think there is room to make amendments for past deeds. And Koulton just scoffs at that remark. I'm not here for your political ramble. These people told me that in this court is the person who killed Esravash and the person who ordered the hit. I am more interested in speaking with those people than with a ambitious political climber.
Can Dythun like try to catch Haral's attention?
Like trying to like catch her eyes, or
Yeah. And just kind of like give
Absolutely.
her a nod of like,
absolutely.
can we like I'm basically trying to glean if she in this setting is willing to take credit for what she did. Like
Trying to like be like gauge like, do you know what we're on about? Yeah.
Yeah.
She looks at you like for a moment you see like she's running the calculations of what you're trying to communicate, but she gets what you're looking at. She gets the context of the conversation. And she just nods at you.
Dythun's gonna step forward and like reach out to take Haral's arm and gesture to Koulton and say, well, this here is Haral. She is the person responsible, which is one of the two people you said you wanted to meet. And we said we would introduce you to.
He looks at her. Glad to have a face of the killer, of a person that was a bane on my family. Now tell me, Haral, I know that people of your profession don't do these things out of the charity of the kindness of their heart. Who hired you for this task? And Haral says, that is a professional secret, I'm afraid. I do not share that information about the clients that I have. And Leowyn looks at her and says, she doesn't have to share that. I have ordered the assassination of Ezravash de Lyranda. And you see Koulton standing there. He just looks at Leowyn, smiling and cackling, walks by Leowyn, puts a hand on the shoulder of the Rayn caller, just pushes then off of him, like really like just this pat that you give someone if someone made a good joke, just wanders by him, past him towards Prince Ryger. My High Prince, I know you invite jesters to your court regularly, but this one is the silliest you have had in here. Why is no one else laughing? And Leowyn turns around and looks at Koulton. And the smile fades from Koulton's face.
Rayn will go stand next to Thareth and just kind of try to hook her arm around one of Thareth's, preferably the arm that is same shoulder that the pseudo dragon is on. And she'll also like turn her body, holding Thareth's, to look at Koulton as well.
Koulton's face turns serious as the realization sinks in that Leowyn is not joking. And he just slowly lowers himself on a bench that stands along one of these tables. And he's not saying anything. He just keeps observing Leowyn, like he's processing things, and just sits there. Leowyn just slowly moves over and starts talking. Just slowly starts talking to him, like telling him about why he came, what's happening in the family, what's going on. He keeps his distance from Koulton. But Koulton is listening. Is there anything the rest of you do while this is happening?
Rayn will just telepathically check in with Leo, and like all she's saying is like, just like to ensure that he knows that she's there.
Yeah.
In case there's something he can't verbally communicate or show.
Yeah.
In an emergency, because I think as much as there's familial tension, there's tension between people who are very highly skilled and powerful too.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Delphine is observing the situation, since it's probably still some tension there.
Yeah, there's like these two really keep quite some distance between them, but it seems at least as if they're having a conversation. At least one side is listening to what the other is saying at this point, but there still is indeed this vibe of if the wrong word is spoken, there might still be emotions running high. Yep.
Dythun would probably be watching Ryger and seeing like how he's taking all this in.
Ryger is seated on his throne, just looking at it, and he has this playful smile on his face. Can you give me an insight check?
Yeah. 21.
he looks
Right?
at
Yeah.
the
21,
two of
yeah.
the two of these talking, and you see that he's smiling, happy that there's such a reunion in his court. But do you see there's also a bit of tension to his posture? Maybe a little bit. Some of his expression reveals that there's something sinking in, that there's something happening here that might not be entirely beneficial to him.
I think he's going to continue listening to the conversation, but keeping eyes on Ryger.
Gotcha. And this conversation goes for a while. The two are talking, and after a few moments of this tension, Koulton slams his staff on the ground. I see. A lot to think about, Leowen. A lot of possibilities. A lot of things, and he turns towards Ryger, that we maybe should discuss elsewhere. My High Prince, and Koulton rises. Thank you for your hospitality and for offering the grounds on which I could meet these people. If you do not mind, I shall excuse myself from your court. And we'll meet these people later aboard my own ship. Thank you for being such a broker of friendships, my High Prince. And Koulton takes a bow as he looks at all of you, walks by. He quickly just throws out. And whoever he walks by, he just quickly says in a low voice, like, "Don't stay too long in this dump. Come back to my ship." As he leaves together with Tharif out of the room.
As the earth leaves, Rayn will release the arm and just quickly whisper, "Your friend enjoys the tuna more than the herring." And
I'll make sure he gets a little of that.
And is very pleased with the pillows.
She scratches him under his chin.
That particularly makes them very happy. And they mentioned you are very kind.
Yes, to this little fellow. But not to my enemies.
Thick as
And-
thieves.
And they wander off as well, as this delegation of the Brightwinds leaves you here in the room with a few Lyranders. Leowen, one of them, who looks as the door closes, and you see, for maybe the first time on his face since you've been traveling, there is a very thin smile on Leowen's face. And there's a bit of a frown on High Prince Ryger's face. But what all of that means, we're going to find out next week in our next session as we end today's session. Yay! You brought some former Lyranders to current Lyranders, and they didn't kill each other immediately.
Immediately.
I
Which
consider
is-
this a success.
Yes. Small success.
They bonded over another terrible event, and
But what I will consider a success is that if things get violent, we had the foresight to heal up.
Yep. You at least have some of your hit points still, and we'll see. But you're what else? What could happen in this court here now with a prince who might have a feeling that you're actually helping one of his rivals? consolidating his position here.
Redirect. His other guest pissed off a very local regional potential ally. Redirect.
Just redirecting. That's how you can shift the blame to someone else. Perfect. All right. Well, I'm glad that all of the characters made it out alive for this session. We started on a bit of a consequences of the previous session, but I'm glad we also got to resolve a few things here. Whatever business the party had here in the Principality seems to be coming closer and closer to an end, but who knows if the party can make it out of here alive. That's something for future sessions. Before we head out, thanks everyone who dropped by in chat for joining us today, for dropping here and there a message. Thank you if you've been watching this and you've been enjoying this. Thank you very much for being here. We love running these games on this channel. If you like what you saw, you can always subscribe or follow our channel here on Twitch. Maybe you have a Prime subscription lying around from your Amazon subscription. If you want to, why not? Share it with us. Also, if you want to keep on tabs what we're doing, we have links to our Twitter and to our Discord below. On our Twitter, you find all our announcements whenever we go live, whenever we plan anything, any kind of casting calls and the likes. On that, more later. But if you want to join us in our Discord to also chat with us and also check out a super cute GIF Serial just casually threw in there during the session, join us over at the Discord. Link is also below. Furthermore, if you're catching up with us now on session 54 of this campaign and you want to know what happened in these first 53 sessions, well, first of all, lots of catching up to do. Good luck. I hope you have a long weekend. And second of all, you can find all of that on our YouTube channel. All the VODs of not just this campaign, but anything we stream on our channel is over on our YouTube. And also regular shorts, highlights in a nice little format created by our very own Ida, which get uploaded there. If you want to go there, go to youtube.com/Horde of Tales, and there you can also, if you enjoy what we do, please give us also a subscription on YouTube, leave a thumbs up, and also share your comments under our videos. That really helps us a lot to get some reach and feed the almighty algorithm. With that being said, we also are still having open calls for GMs for a certain something. Ida, would you like to quickly tell us what's going on there?
Woo! So I believe this is our third year running our Women in Gaming Month, which will be coming this June, where Horde of Tales is going to have a month full of one-shots, panels, discussion with tables that are exclusively 100% folks who identify as women or femme. We are looking for GMs to run standalone one-shots of any TTRPG of your choosing. We will support it. We want to see your original stories. We want to see indie creators. We want to see different games. But you know what? If D&D and the likes is your jam, we want to hear about it too. So check out our Twitter where we have our sign-up posted and linked as well. We're going to close the sign-ups on the 20th, so very soon. All time slots are going to be UK, EU time zone friendly. So around this time that the Convergence Manifesto runs, for example, will be the slots for all the coming potential games, because we want these sort of stories, we want these sort of amazing talented creatives to also be accessible to people on this side of the Atlantic. And we hope to see you part of our event. And don't worry even if you decide you don't feel comfortable GMing, after all those cats are herded, we're going to be calling out for player signups for those specific games too. So keep an eye out on our socials for that.
Exactly. That's up until the 20th. The link is in the chat as well for this, and you can also find that on our Twitter, where you can sign up for that. Also, don't forget, this Thursday, we're also back with the next session of our Ether game here, run by the fantastic Angela as a GM, with a fantastic, cool group of people who join us on exploring this cool, heroic fantasy RPG, Ether by Eldritch Crow. You can find all of those sessions also on YouTube. And also, last week, I had the honor of having a quick chat with Eldritch Crow about the game itself. And you can find the VOD of that also already on our YouTube if you want to hear a little bit about something about game design, the hurdles and challenges of game design, and what someone would do if they had a time machine. So, that's all there. Any final round of personal announcement anyone would like to share before we head out?
I would like to say that Leipziger Buchmesse, so the LBM, Leipzig Book Fair, is coming up at the end of this month, the 27th to the 30th of April. And I do not have a table as an artist, but I will be attending at least one of the days, at least Friday, 28th. So if you are from Europe and you're planning on stopping by, look for me, I guess, if you want to say hi. Yeah, I just think LBM is a good, fun event, so figured I'd bring it up.
And generally, the Leipziger Buchmesse, the LBM, is a fantastic, great convention with everything related to books, novels, stories of any kind. Always been a great attraction in Leipzig, in the region, to attract people of all kinds there. So if you're in the area, why not join there and maybe get to meet up with Serial? Awesome. Austin.
Oh, go ahead.
Mine's very small and short. I started streaming again on my own Twitch channel.
Oh, yay!
North American
Hooray.
Eastern Time evenings. But yeah, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I'm gonna try to get back to consistently streaming. So there's that.
Awesome. I shared the link.
Austin, why don't you cater to me and my schedule so that I can watch you?
I would, but my work doesn't let
I
me.
am hurt.
I'll try to stream earlier if I stream on the
Unbelievable.
weekends. So it's more just so Serial can watch.
I also stay up really late, so like I'll probably catch you sometime.
Gotcha.
go.
I shared the link to your Twitch channel in the chat, so go
Oh,
check out twitch.tv/starcrosser and see what Austin is going to stream. And then I think Ida also had something to share.
Yes, I'll keep it quick as I can. On Friday, I will be joining our friends at Manipot Studios. Awesome table, awesome channel, awesome producers and directors. We're going to do a 2-shot that starts on Friday at 7:30 EST, 2:30 Eastern Time. And the game is going to be, let me get the exact title, which I do not have before. Oh no, I had the slot open. I am playing in so many games, y'all. It's not funny, but I love the situation. Let me just look it up.
Tales from the Waiheke, New Zealand.
That's the name I was trying to remember. It's going to be run by Maui nerd Evan, who was one of our kobolds some time ago, and he's playing a game that takes place in his old hometown, like in the 90s. And definitely come join us
nice.
there. We're going to have a very diverse table. Again, EU happy hours to show that we have great representation on the side of the Atlantic. And that's going to be at Manipot Studios this Friday and also on May 5th. On Saturday and Sunday, friend of the channel, Tavernot, is going to be having an RPG-a-thon for charity. We're going to be raising money for UNICEF. And it's going to be like a bunch of games. And I believe I'm going to be in... Well, we'll see. Yeah, we'll see. For so many games, I'm not even sure what I'm playing in. But it's going to be like 2 full days with giveaways, things you can win just for showing up. Donations are always extremely welcome. Share what you can. Even retweeting helps to find those other people who may have means to donate as well. And last but not least, Roll for Good. Announcements will be coming soon, TM soon, about those finalized games, which means soon, TM soon. Standards for players will be coming up soon as well. So keep an eye out on Roll for Good's socials. And reminder, there are still many ways you can participate, even if you don't feel like you can be a player. Maybe you're not comfortable being on camera. Maybe you think it's not for you, but you still want to be part of it. We're still looking for mods for the event. You want to be part of the mod squad, enjoy Marcus, for example, and other cool friends of ours. Definitely reach out to volunteer on the back end of things as well. So we hope to see you there.
All right. Yes, links to all of that are also in chat. If you want to check out our friends over at Manipot Studios, Tavernot, and Roll for Good, that's all in there. And we will be back next week for our next session thanks to all of you for joining us today. Thanks to my fantastic table for making these games possible. And we'll see you in a week. Take care. Make sure you get some sea legs. And hopefully, see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.